The inventiveness of the Singaporean people and the Singaporean Republic is a subject that might be discussed in great detail. This tiny country surmounted numerous challenges, including a noticeable lack of natural resources, to become one of the most industrialized countries in the world with a healthy GDP of over $700 billion. Despite its modest beginnings as a maritime emporium situated at one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, only 6 million people call this little island home, but it's already made significant strides in both environmental protection and technological development. The country's limited resources are being drained as a result of what is believed to be one of the greatest population densities in the world. Singapore created the Green 2040 plan to make sure the nation is sustainably developed for future generations. Come find out how Singapore plans to put its 2040 Green Plan into action. In this video, we'll discuss Singapore's absurd plan to become a green nation by 2040. Before we get started, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel so you can see more incredible videos like this one. So without further ado, let's get started. Singapore, one of the richest and most technologically proficient nations in the world, accomplished this feat not by right, but rather through a protracted process of sustainability. The little island nation of 728 square kilometers of land realizes the necessity to make sure that there is still a country for the future generations thanks to the inventiveness of its people and the strong leadership of Lee Kuan Yew after decades of good resource management. This is because the country's population is constantly rising, resulting in more congested conditions on the country's relatively tiny island. Problems may be broken down into 4 categories: limited land, a lack of resources, carbon emissions, and international pollution. The city-state of Singapore is sometimes referred to as a city in the garden, despite the fact that it had previously embraced sustainable development several decades before climate change became a key issue for the rest of the globe. The city-state of Singapore produced the Green Plan 2040 in order to take additional steps towards ensuring that Singapore would continue to be a sustainable place for future generations. The 5-pillar approach has been acclaimed as a national movement that aspires to integrate even the most disadvantaged segments of society. This is due to the fact that the success of this plan depends on the participation of each and every individual. The following are the 5 pillars that make up the eco-friendly plan that will allow them to build a nation that is both clean and efficient. They are city and nature, energy reset, sustainable living, green economy, and resilient future. City and nature, the initiative known as Green Plan 2040, has set as its primary goal the maintenance of Singapore's status as a green nation. This goal is actually not that far away, considering that there is currently a city that has effectively combined urban expansion with the environment. The city in question is called San Francisco. In spite of this, the initiative known as Green Plan 2040 has plans to set aside 200 hectares of land for use as public natural parks. At least 1 million extra trees need to be planted in order to ensure the residents of Singapore have access to clean air and to eradicate any remaining CO2 emissions that may have been released into the environment. There's also the expectation that the activity would have a positive impact on the natural environment, which would be beneficial to the native flora and fauna of the nation. Promote sustainable living. The second topic up for discussion is the plan that will be utilized to bring about habitable circumstances in this nation, which has a finite amount of area and resources. To achieve its goal of becoming a zero-waste nation, which wishes to survive a persistent recycling program, the Green 2040 plan intends to organize the public to contribute to the goal of becoming a zero-waste nation. This is done to ensure the durability of the country's already limited resources. In addition, policies are in place to protect the resources, such as a strict water recycling program. Singapore will advance these policies by recycling its waste materials and using the processed goods for landfilling and construction, expanding the country's landmass in the process. This laborious work should have decreased rubbish output by 2026, giving Singapore a healthier and bigger location for its residents and the descendants of those citizens. As part of the plan's component for sustainable living, the government plans to construct a mass rapid transit system that will be on par with those found in the vast majority of industrialized countries around the globe. The establishment of the nation's very first city that does not permit the use of private automobiles will also be sought in conjunction with the development of Newton ideas such as Tenga. The program intends to build underground roadways in order to encourage walking and cycling along the many parks that this new arrangement would accommodate, leaving the surface for public transportation in order to accomplish this goal. In addition, the program plans to build these roadways in order to save money. The goal of the project is to implement these ideas about sustainability at every level, all the way down to the community level. Through educating their children about the eco-friendly approach in the educational setting, all educational levels require the implementation of an environmental stewardship program that will assist in the reduction of carbon emissions produced by the educational sector. The goal is for the majority of schools to achieve carbon neutrality by 2040. The likelihood of bringing the sustainability ideology into every home in the nation may rise as a result. Energy reset. Due to the lack of resources like rivers or the land for large solar or windmill farms, the country has had to get creative in order to identify a solution to its quest for a renewable energy resource. This has required the country to become more resourceful in order to maintain its rate of net zero emissions while simultaneously making plans to steadily increase its usage of solar energy by the year 2025. Singapore has decided to make use of natural gas, which is considered the cleanest fossil fuel that is currently available on the market. The use of solar energy is expected to expand by a factor of 5 by the year 2040, according to forecasts, as a result of its status as an aviation and marine hub. Singapore has the ambition to realize its goals of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by at least half the current level by the year 2050, as well as increasing the fuel efficiency of its aircraft at a rate of 2% per year until 2050. These goals will be accomplished by the country. The strategy also aims to cut energy usage in HBD towns by 15% while simultaneously ensuring that green buildings would be present in districts outside of such HBD locals by 2040. Because of this, the government will have an easier time putting its plans into action to switch to electric cars, which would ultimately result in the complete elimination of the use of vehicles that release carbon dioxide by the year 2040. The creation of environmentally conscious zones around the country, such as the Jurong Lake District, is one of the nation's primary priorities. In order to reach the aim of phase-out carbon-emitting cars by 2040, the installation of 60,000 electric vehicle charging outlets by that year would be crucial. Green economy. Following the other objective of the program, it's becoming increasingly clear that the gradual transition to a greener environment will result in new employment opportunities. A broad-based carbon tax was implemented in Singapore in 2019 in an effort to draw in new investors eager to further the nation's energy efficiency. As part of its goal to establish Singapore as a global hub for green finance, the government of Singapore has declared that it will utilize the tax funds to assist these investors and their companies' efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. This covers the creation and promotion of innovation related to the research. The 2025 Innovation and Enterprise Plan would encourage the growth of research and development that would create new sustainable technologies. Resilient future. In order to protect their land from the effects of increasing sea levels, the government plans to construct physical barriers and position them in key positions along the country's coastlines. There are plans to make the country more enticing to tourists despite the excessively hot climate by applying cold paint to the exteriors of the buildings. In order to forestall a catastrophe caused by a lack of food, the target is to raise the share of locally grown food in their food supply by 30% by the year 2040. It is realistic to anticipate that Singaporeans will succeed in changing their home into green cities by the year 2040, despite the enormous difficulties that are stacked against them. Just 100 years ago, the residents of Singapore lived in an area that had not been developed at all, yet they have already transformed this little island into a contemporary metropolis. Our video has now reached its conclusion. Please share your opinions in the comment section below. Also, be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to receive notifications anytime we release a new video. Till then, bye. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all in the next one.